Up today, we have WCPO Cincinnati's Marshall Kramsky, a little Freehold High School Regional School District reunion, and a whole lot more when it comes to the Cincinnati Bengals Jaguars breakdown, plus a Jason Hamby sighting right off the top. Let's have some fun. It's a Thursday edition of Club 904. Welcome into a Thursday edition of Club 904. I am your host, Mia O'Brien, joining you each and every Tuesday, Thursday at 1 p.m., as well as a Sunday post game at 9:04 p.m., syndicated and streamed live on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 channel, breaking down and talking all things Jacksonville Jaguars. Be sure to leave a comment, leave a question. This is an interactive show, folks. We want to hear from you. We want to hear your thoughts with regards to the 1-0, yes, 1-0 and undefeated first place, tied for first place, Jacksonville Jaguars. And so leave a comment throughout the show, whether that's on YouTube, on X, on Twitch, wherever you are watching from. We're going to start off the show with a little bit something untraditional. As mentioned, of course, our show is syndicated on the Action Sports Jacks channel, and there's a whole lot of fun going on over there, not just when it pertains to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Excuse me for the technical transition here, but excited to welcome in for the very first time. No, not Marshall Kramsky. No, this is the one and only Jason Hamby of Stadium Pulse here on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 channel. Wanted to make sure the Club 904 listeners knew there's a whole lot more going on, Hamby. What's going on?
Not a whole lot, except for we got footballs back, and we got a lot to talk about going into week 3 of the college football season, especially on Stadium Pulse now Mondays and Fridays. I mean, Monday was all about the Gators. We know why. And I don't think it's going to be good when they go down to Baton Rouge on Saturday.
Yes, that is actually the ESPN radio game of the week. I already let my good friend Ian Fitzsimmons know. He could be in for the last stand of Billy Napier. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, folks, because ultimately I think he's going to get at least the next 3 weeks. What say you, Hamby? Because it's a gauntlet, to be clear, with LSU, Texas. You throw a certain Miami team that's in the top 10, top 5 right now in there. It's a gauntlet, but I guess that's really the last stand, is this 3-game gauntlet. If he can go, 1-2, maybe they keep him around, or does he have to go 2-1? What say you?
No, I don't think he has to go 2-1. I think he just has to win one of them. I wouldn't be surprised, regardless, if he makes it to the bye week before Georgia, simply because they could always say, well, what good is it really going to do if we fire a guy in 4 or 5 weeks? It's a thing that's kind of unprecedented, at least in the last couple of years, for a coach to get fired that early when he's been there for this long, as in 3 or 4 years. Barring anything off of the field, it's hard to imagine anybody getting fired after just 1 month. Not to say that it wouldn't be deserved. I think that everybody knows in Florida, from Strickland on down, that Napier's time is over. But I wouldn't be surprised if they buy a little time. They don't want to stick an interim with an 8-week schedule and have players already opting out with half their season to go.
He is Jason Hamby. He is the host of Stadium Pulse on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 channel, and of course the producer of the Brent and Austin show. So before we send you off, Jason, because I'm keeping you past your lunch break, give us a thought on the Jaguars headed to Cincinnati this week before we bring in Marshall Kramsky to break down the matchup.
Yeah, I can't wait to see. I mean, my eyes are going to be on the defense. Obviously, when there's Burrow, Chase, and Higgins, how are you going to defend it? Jerry and Jones, what does it look like? And I think it's got to be, how many snaps does Travis Hunter play on the defensive side of the football? I mean, obviously, he played 6 against the Panthers. We talked a lot about today on the Brent and Austin show. I mean, you drafted him to be a guy, not just to be a guy who fills in, but you kind of drafted him and you traded up to get him so you could stick him on T. Higgins and be comfortable throughout the matchup. I'll be very interested to see how much they decide to play him. Cohen says it's going to be an uptick. That remains to be seen. On the offensive side of the ball, look, do we have to pump the brakes on ETN? The expectations, anytime a guy goes for about 150 yards, you want to see him do it week in and week out. They want to establish the run early and often. We'll see. I mean, do we see what do we see from Tootin this week? I think that's a huge question mark, especially on 1st and 2nd down. I can't wait to watch.
Travis Hunter's usage, the run game, that is what Jason Hamby will be locked in on. And, of course, he'll be locked in on Stadium Pulse. For those just hopping into the club, remind them where we can catch your show here on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 channel.
Yeah, Monday and Friday, every Monday, Friday, 9 to 10 a.m. before the Brent and Austin show. We really focus on 5 teams, right? Florida, Florida State, Georgia as a dog, UCF as an alumni, and Miami as well. We try to see things not just through blue and orange colored glasses, and we love to talk ball. So you can watch it on all of our social media streaming platforms, including my Twitter as well.
Hey, listen, anything to get away from the orange and blue colored glasses that so many of us, including myself, for what it's worth, we're sporting this off season. But we appreciate the dose of reality, and we appreciate the inaugural Hamby appearance. I've now had Brent, Austin, and Hamby. I guess we got to get Casey Kurtz on here at some point in time to complete the Brent and Austin. What is it? Not trifecta. I guess that's a quadrant, right? That the quadrant of fun.
Do at your own risk with Kate.
The quadrant of fun. But Jason Hamby, check him out. Again, that's 9 a.m. Action Sports Jacks 24/7 streaming channel, talking all things college football here in the Sunshine State. Appreciate you hopping on, brother man.
Thank you.
There he goes. Again, that's Jason Hamby. You can, of course, catch him, Brent, and Austin each and every Monday through Friday, weekday, 10 a.m. through 1 p.m., talking all things sports in Northeast Florida. Some news and notes as we continue this Thursday edition of Club 904. I was not at practice this morning due to some responsibilities as Professor O'Brien at the University of North Florida in the Taylor Leadership Institute. Shout out to Dr. Olson and the crew over there. And so I didn't get a chance to witness this. I've just texted with a couple sources and a couple reporters in the building. Foye Oluwakim was not at practice. If you're listening to the show on demand, hopefully by 4 p.m., we do have clarification. That was what reporters at practice were told today, that they will know more at 4 p.m. as to why the Jaguars captain and star linebacker was not at practice today. It's rather interesting to me because we spoke with him yesterday in the locker room. He was all smiles, healthy. I didn't have the cold or bug that, those of you who listen to Tuesday's show know that I'm getting over. Hamby's fighting it as well. So I don't know if he picked up the cold or something like that, or if it's something personal related. All we can tell you right now at 1:07 p.m. Eastern time on Thursday, prior to the Jaguars' Week 2 matchup with the Cincinnati Bengals, is that Foye Oluwakim, his status will be released by the team at 4 p.m. As we continue news and notes, my first leading off thoughts when it comes to the Cincinnati Bengals, because Marshall Kramsky will join us here in about 13 minutes or so to break down this matchup in depth. The offensive line for Cincinnati with Joe Burrow under center has been a question mark, has been a conversation topic around the National Football League circles for the last 5+ years. Let's walk through what that offensive line looks like this year, knowing full well that the Jaguars had, yes, just one sack against the Carolina Panthers last week, an offensive line that, even if it's not a world beater, has been invested heavily in financially over the last 2 seasons. They will start Orlando Brown, who they paid primo bucks a couple years ago after his 4 Pro Bowl appearances at left tackle. Dylan Fairchild, former Georgia Bulldog, once upon a time, is starting at left guard or expected to start at left guard. That is because the team had signed Lucas Patrick this offseason to play the position. He went on reserve IR earlier this week. He'll miss at least the next 4 games. Fairchild was expected to be the right guard. He's now expected to play left guard against the Jags. Ted Karras, the longtime center for the Cincinnati Bengals, he's a stalwart. He is one of the NFLPA reps. You probably heard him complaining about reporters in the locker room once upon a time. Sorry, I had to get that dig in there. He is the starting center for the Bengals and has been for quite some time. Dalton Risner, who has become a bit of a journeyman between his time with the Denver Broncos and the Minnesota Vikings, expected to start at right guard. Once upon a time, the Minnesota Vikings traded Ezra Cleveland away so that they could keep Dalton Risner, who they felt was the hot hand at the position, starting on the interior of their offensive line. And now all of a sudden he winds up in Cincinnati. So excited to ask Marshall about that player as well. And speaking of Georgia Bulldogs, Amarius Mims, a promising first-round rookie from a year ago, the starting right tackle, but we have yet to see consistency from him at the position. Last year, the 2024 offensive line looked similar to that outfit that the Jaguars defense will face on Sunday. They let go of Alex Kappa in free agency. As mentioned, they signed Patrick. The plan was to move Fairchild to left guard. That's where he is now. I mean, he was going to play right guard. Excited to hear more about that situation. This offense, though, point being, outside of letting go of Kappa in free agency, largely looks like the offensive line that gave up 48 sacks a year ago. They were the 3rd worst offensive line by PFF metrics. I know some of you subscribe to PFF, some of you don't. You've heard Austin and the boys on Jaguars Happy Hour say as much too. They were 27th in pass blocking. despite being the best passing offense in the National Football League. They gave up 220 pressures. I know the P word is one that not everyone is a fan of. Josh Hines-Allen tied for the second most pressures last week, but everyone was clamoring, but he didn't get a sack, so I don't care. Affecting the quarterback is pivotal, even if affecting Joe Burrow is a little bit more difficult to do than affecting Bryce Young. So yes, this offensive line has been much maligned. The only player from a year ago that ranked in PFF's top 25 at their respective position was Karras. He was their 18th ranked center. And so all of this to say, while Hamby is focused on Travis Hunter and his usage, Brenton Austin looking at that run game, will we really see another masterclass from Travis Etienne? Could we see Bashal Tutin be the hot hand? For me, I believe that this game is where Anthony Campanelli and his defense say, no, that was not a fluke from a week ago. Yes, we only had one sack, but we generated consistent pressure. We forced Bryce Young to throw it into the fifth row at Everbank Stadium. And while I don't believe Joe Burrow will be throwing it into the fifth row of Paycor Stadium in Cincinnati on Sunday, I do believe that if this Jaguars pass rush, which was built to come in waves, I thought Dennis Gardick's usage in particular was an undersold storyline coming out of the 26-10 victory over Carolina on Sunday. If they can continue to simulate pressure while also getting home with 4 like they did, go check out the episode from Tuesday of Club 904 with Austin. We broke down DeJuan Smoot's sack. If they can create pressure with 4 and properly substituting in and out the waves of pass rushers they have, that's where the Jaguars will have a chance. I don't believe that they're going to sack Joe Burrow 4 or 5 times. I don't know if that's going to happen. What I can tell you is that if they can, at the very least, get him off his spot, you give yourself a chance, even if he really is a top 4 quarterback in the National Football League. Hey, the club is open, so please leave a comment, leave a chat. I see Dell just came into the club, so make sure you're like Dell. You either reply to us on Twitter, you're leaving a comment on YouTube. Randy on YouTube, thank you for leading me to my final point before we take our first break and we welcome in our next guest. Mason Smith. We talked about, for me, the biggest key to this game is that battle of the trenches between what is the Cincinnati Bengals offensive line and what is the Jacksonville Jaguars defensive front. Now that Tank Bigsby has been shipped out of town, I do not believe, in my opinion, because he just got here, Cody Schrader would be on the active 48-man eligible roster to get a jersey on game day. I don't believe that they're going to have him up on game day just because he just got here. He's just learning the playbook, even if it's similar to what the Rams run in LA. So therefore, logically, that would suggest you have an open spot. Mason Smith can play. You want to ensure that this Cincinnati Bengals offense doesn't even get off the ground running because they can't even get the ball out from under center because you create that push. Devon Hamilton, Colin Saunders, Austin Johnson, who, by the way, I got to spend some time with yesterday. Fellow New Jersey guy, had no idea. Love to hear that. They're run pluggers. Mason Smith, and yes, Eric Armstead as well, are the 2 interior defensive linemen you have who can create interior push and actually get after the quarterback. That's not to say those other 3 can't, because they have, but in terms of not just filling gaps, those are the 2 players who you need to be affecting the quarterback directly. And that can also, dare I say, not line up on the edge, but can create a mismatch where you can direct them right off the ball to different areas of the football field that could create some havoc. And yeah, maybe I'm hinting at Mason Smith dropping in coverage just because it was funny, but it did work. So thank you for that question, Randy, because I do agree. I think that Mason Smith, his usage is going to be another big question in Sunday's game. Let's keep the vibes going. Marshall's about ready to head into the club. Let's take our first break. You are listening to Club 904, syndicated on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7.
But Nimnick, the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville. Get the latest price breaks on 2023 and 2024 models or the newest 2025 vehicles in the showroom on Phillips Highway, or shop online at nimnickbuickgmc.com 24 hours a day. GMC Sierras, Yukons, and the redesigned Acadias, or get the all-new redesigned line with Buicks. It's nobody but Nimnick, and part of the reason why is this is a first-class buying experience here at Nimnick Buick GMC. You're not just a customer, you're a friend. This is about getting a vehicle that best fits you and getting you on the road, and also helping you and your family down the road. Nimnick has a treating you right guarantee, courtesy, respect, fairness, and most Buicks, GMCs, and Jacksonville's only Car Bravo dealer, nobody but Nimnick. Who has put in the most years and stands behind a better experience? Nobody but Nimnicht. GMC, we are professional grade.
If you look good, you feel good. And the medical professionals here at Ponte Vedra Vein and Aesthetics are here to make you feel your best. I'm on camera every week, and I have a confession to make. I'm not always confident in my appearance. Can you see my dark circles? Is my makeup highlighting my fine lines instead of covering them up? I question it all. So when I found out about the wide variety of procedures here at Ponte Vedra Vein and Aesthetics, I knew help was just one appointment away. Medical Director Dr. Megan Deacon-Casey and her board-certified physicians have been using the latest in cutting-edge technology for the last 10 years, giving men and women their personal confidence boost. From Botox, fillers, Morpheus 8, and so much more. The hardest part was figuring out what I needed. Thankfully, the medical team walked me through what would work best for me through a free consultation. Come look and feel your best with the team here at Ponte Vedra Vein and Aesthetics. Visit them at one of their 2 locations, either over in Ponte Vedra or on the south side.
Baker's Sports. It's a hometown business filled with hometown people trying to make you feel right at home.
Chris Conley, Jacksonville University.
Walker Wright, class of 2018, West Nassau High School.
Michael Young, Fletcher High School.
Baker's Sports started in a grassroots way and now outfits much of the Southeast.
Tony Mazzio, Sandwood High School, class of 2002.
High school sports, travel sports, youth sports of all kinds. They are a one-stop shop carrying Nike, Adidas, Under Armour brands, and more.
Vincent Caldes, Oakleaf High School.
Samuel Coffrin, Paxton School for Advanced Studies.
Whether it's sports teams on the field or it's your team in the workplace, like our Action Sports Jacks team, and community events like the Dream 18 Golf Tournament, and many others.
Cole Tilley, Hilliard High School.
Reagan Webb, Eagles View Academy.
Look good, feel good, play good with Baker Sports. Custom sports apparel since 1997. Shop with the hometown team at bakersport.com.
Empower a future, inspire a dream. It's a bold but simple mission for the Jacksonville Police Athletic League known as Jax PAL. Help the next generation of kids in Jacksonville shape a brighter future. Their after-school programs, teenage leadership programs. There's community outreach.
It's been just an awesome opportunity to be out here with my colleagues and do something good for the community. It's really been an interesting opportunity to just see everybody work together in a way that we don't normally in the office.
And there's sports. There are also ways you can help the next generation with a donation of any kind. Just visit jaxpal.org to get more information. Empower a future, inspire a dream with Jax PAL.
Most of us know how to throw. But you need to know what to throw. I'm not talking about footballs, baseballs, softballs. We're talking about those items you need to recycle. Republic Services explains it easy. Recycling simplified. 1. Know what to throw. When in doubt, throw it out. 2. Empty, clean, and dry those materials. It takes an extra minute, but it makes a big difference. And 3. Don't bag it. This makes the recycling process faster and more efficient. This is a look at the Republic Services North Florida Recycling Center. You can make this process even more efficient. By utilizing those 3 steps, Republic Services can help you become a better recycler in your home. Learn more at recyclingsimplified.com.
Welcome back to Club 904 on a Thursday. Mia O'Brien, excited to bring our next guest in. But of course, first and foremost, a reminder. This is an interactive show, folks. If you have questions for our next guest, if you have a comment, if you want to let out a Duval because you are feeling great, make sure you leave that YouTube, X, Facebook, wherever you are getting the 24/7 Action Sports Jack streaming channel, or if you're watching live on my Twitter as well, because I saw Drew in the YouTube chat asked, no clarification right now. I have not heard anything concrete as to why Foye Oluwakin, the Jaguars star middle linebacker, not at practice today, outside of being told we will have more clarity at 4 p.m., assuming that is because that is when the injury report will drop. Again, he was in the locker room yesterday at 2:00 when I was too. He was all high spirits, happy, healthy. So fascinated to see exactly what is going on with Foye Oluokun. I'm also excited to see what's going on with our next guest because let's just say, folks, this guy is a friend of the program. He is the one, the only, not Jason Hamby. It is Marshall Kramsky. Let's make sure we get Hamby out of here. Nothing against Hamby, but there we go. Let's get him in. There he is. Marshall Kramsky of WCPO in Cincinnati, not A-Train. There he is. What is going on, brother man? A fellow product of the 732 hanging out in Club 904. How are you, friend?
Mia, I'm great. And whenever I'm on with you on any platform, I know there's going to be a New Jersey shout out before it even happens. Before I even come on, you had one earlier in the show already. I mean, it's just like death taxes, Mia shouting out New Jersey, which is why I love you.
You should have seen me in the Jaguars locker room yesterday connecting the dots between all of our Jersey brethren. Austin Johnson did not realize that the Jaguars' 2 rookie running backs are both from South Jersey. Bashal Tutin being from Paulsboro and LaQuint Allen being from Millville. Shout out Mike Trout. Real ones know Marshall played baseball at NYU. So shout out to Marshall too. And so, yes, I was connecting the New Jersey dots. We are here, though, to connect the dots when it comes to this cat fight, as many are calling it, in Cincinnati this upcoming week. But first, we got to take a look back, Marshall. As a wise man once said, you got to go back to go forward. Walk me through the week 1 victory, because they've been in short supply during Joe Burrow's tenure in Cincinnati. The week 1 victory over the Cleveland Browns for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Well, it's the Bengals' first, as you hear the gasp, it was the Bengals' first win in week 1 since 2021, their first win in in regulation since 2018, because that 2021 win against Minnesota happened in overtime. It's so hard to break down this game, and I've been struggling with it because playing in Cleveland for the Bengals is just their kryptonite. And the fact that they walked out of Cleveland with a win, no pun intended, is a huge win. Yes, they won the game because Andre Schmidt, the kicker, the rookie kicker for the Browns, missed an extra point and missed a field goal. But every game last year that the Bengals were tight down the end, every team needs a little bit of luck. They never got a break last year. And I asked Joe Burrow about that after the game, and he was like, yeah, you're right, man. Like, we never had any luck last year, but you also create your own luck. So is this a Bengals team that's starting to break their way and create their own luck? From out the gate, the Bengals offense was humming. It was very clear. It was like, feed running back Chase Brown. That's what we're going to do. And on the first drive, which was funny just looking about a year ago, 12 plays, 7 of them were to Chase Brown, rushing attempts, and then there were another 2 that they threw to him. Chase Brown had 6 carries in all of week 1 last year. He had 7 on the first drive. He scores a rushing touchdown. And then the defense had their issues. And then on the third drive, they throw a touchdown to new tight end Noah Fant, who would seem like is already a Joe Burrow favorite, which we saw that kind of developing in training camp, but they just paid Mike Gesicki, fellow Jersey guy, and it looked like he really likes Noah Fant. So I think that's interesting to see how that's going to develop. But on the offensive side of the Bengals, starting there, then I'll talk about the defense. It was a typical in Cleveland, where's Jamar Chase, where's T. Higgins? And it was feed Chase Brown, who, although Chase had a good game, he was averaging less than 2 yards per carry. It was, why didn't anything change? In the second half, they only had 7 yards of offense. Jim Schwartz, the defensive coordinator for the Browns, just knows how to play the Bengals. Zach Taylor said as much after the game that he causes so many fits. And with my own eyes, having covered the AFC North now for the 4 seasons, I've seen Myles Garrett play in person, I think 10 times. Him and Aaron Donald are the 2 best defensive players I've ever seen with my own eyes. And Myles Garrett's just a wrecking ball. And that affects the secondary. If you understand football, you know it's in to out. Myles Garrett is just a difference maker, and the Bengals struggle with Myles Garrett. But they won week 1. As far as the defense goes for the Bengals, my biggest concern that I've been screaming from my soapbox for all the echoes is that the Bengals over the last few years, ever since their last AFC Championship appearance, when it was under Lou Anarumo, defensive coordinator, they do not tackle. They worry more about causing turnovers than tackling, which is great because you win the turnover battle, you usually win the football game, but to what cost? At what point is a 3 and out not as good as a turnover? And I noticed they tackled much better against Cleveland. Is that because they were playing Cleveland? I don't know, but they won the turnover battle to zip. But both of the interceptions, the first one by safety Jordan Battle and the second one, the game-sealing one by DJ Turner, the Bengals corner, were both off of dropped balls by Cleveland. It wasn't a clean pick per se. The first one was Jerry Jeudy dropped the ball. The second one was Cedric Tillman dropped the ball. The defense, both Turner and Battle, they said it was because Al Golden had them in the right spot. The Bengals' new defensive coordinator had them, also a Jersey guy, had them in the right spot at the right time. And sure, but I am worried about this Bengals secondary, which I'm sure we'll talk much more about later. And the Bengals defensive line, I thought Trey Hendrickson looked like Trey Hendrickson, and everything else was kind of the concerns we're worried about. So that's kind of where I'm at with the Bengals week 1 win. But it was a week 1 win, something that is very hard to come by for Cincinnati.
A whole lot to dissect from everything you just said as we look forward, Marshall, to the Jaguars and the Bengals, 1 o'clock on Sunday. A lot of Jersey references because that was always going to happen, bringing you into the club. Our friend Tim, though, who is an Ohio State fan, has an interesting question for you. He doesn't want to embrace New Jersey debate in the YouTube chat. He wants to embrace Ohio ice cream debate. Graders or Jenny's? So quick foray there before we get to the real order of business.
Love the question because that is one of the things that keeps me up at night 100% because we just got a few Jenny's locations in Cincinnati. It's Graders. It's Graders. Jenny's has like a few like flashy players that I love, like their gooey butter cake and their triple chocolate meltdown. Like they have the pop, but like that's the home run play. The consistent, let's run the ball for 3 downs and get a first down. It's Graders all day.
See, and this is also a great segue. That's what we call it in the biz, Marshall, to remind folks they can subscribe to the O'Brien NFL Notebook. They can be a standard scooper, get some scoops there, in addition to going to Graders.
You're so smooth. You are so smooth.
To get, some actual physical ice cream. When it comes to the Cincinnati Bengals, I think that first and foremost, we also have some folks in the club in the chat that are noting that Trevor Lawrence 0-3 against Joe Burrow specifically all time, both with their time in college, their time in the NFL. Okay. But when it comes to Zach Taylor, obviously people in Jacksonville hear that name and they feel some type of way because of who his brother was, the former offense coordinator here in Duval County. I couple that with who is Zach Taylor. I couple that question with this. For the first time, the Bengals went all out in the preseason, playing their starters. Correct me if I'm wrong. Did y'all do any joint practices either? No joint practices?
This was the first year, no joint practice.
Yeah,
first time. Last year they had 2.
Right. Focused on ourselves. We want to get right. We don't want to have a slow start to the season because Joe Burrow statistically is tied for the worst all-time start in the first 2 weeks of a season throughout the first 5 seasons of his NFL career. What have they done to suggest that they could go, I don't want to say 2-0, we could focus on the here and now and say 2-0 the first 2 weeks of the 2025 campaign, but also not have more September woes moving forward?
I mean, the preseason's the most glaring thing. Joe Burrow, he was kind of quiet about it earlier in his career, and now he's just so matter of fact. Yeah, I want to play in the preseason. I want to play in the preseason. I want to get those reps. I asked him directly, are you a guy who needs that first kind of hit to get out of the way? You hear quarterbacks talk about so often, and he goes, I used to be like that. Now, maybe not so much. But yeah, the preseason was so different because although you're in the game and you're only there for, a drive or two, Jamar Chase feels some type of way about it. He's kind of anti-preseason. But the preparation the night before, knowing you have to go out there and play, knowing there's, we have our scripted plays we're going to go through, just that thing, it sped the season up for them, which is exactly what the preseason is for. Like, it's like this crazy concept. And I understand, some players, they don't want to risk their massive players and investments to injury in a game that doesn't mean anything. But the preseason thing was the number one thing that I noticed. There's definitely defensively a bigger intensity I found in practice. Every day they're allowed to wear pads. They're wearing pads. We're seeing a lot of, I don't know if this is true or not, more thuds in practice. For those who don't know what thuds are, it's when you kind of grab the guy like about to tackle him, but you don't actually tackle him in practice. It was, I think, a little bit more contact, high intensity. And I love Bengals former defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo, who's now with the Indianapolis Colts, rooting for him. So cool to see him show out against the Dolphins in week 1. Al Golden has a different kind of level of intensity. He's like kind of high school football, college football coach vibe. He was the linebackers coach when they went to the Super Bowl. He was with the Bengals, but he's coming from Notre Dame most recently when they just went on the national championship run against Ohio State last year. So he's kind of like that college vibe of no, nonsense. He's loud, kind of in their faces, high intensity. And I think that has really helped speed the Bengals along. And also, the veterans are like, we're here now. They got Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins paid. Trey Hendrickson holdout was another story. But on the offense, everyone was there from the jump. That's the first time the Bengals' whole offense was healthy, all participating in training camp, and I believe 4 years. And then you're going back to – and then they went to the Super Bowl, and then you're talking about COVID. So this is the real, normal times, quote-unquote, that everyone was there and healthy. And I think that's what we're going to see of why they're able to get off to a faster start this year.
Marshall Kramsky, WCPO TV out in Cincinnati. Go follow him at Marshall Kramsky. He's got a new podcast out too. We're going to talk about that before we get you out the club. Let's start on the offensive side of the ball in this breakdown between the Bengals and the Jaguars. I ran through what is expected to be the starting offensive line for Cincinnati, Marshall, this Sunday at Paycor Stadium. And ultimately, it's an offensive line that looks somewhat like, minus one name in particular, what I think the Bengals envisioned, even though I don't know what the ceiling is for that group. So respond to that first. Let me make sure you're I'm going to get you on a one shot. So don't be alarmed. And once you see this one shot, then you're good to start talking. But yes, Marshall, what do you make of this offensive line the Cincinnati Bengals will trot out against the Jacksonville?
Get a new car for anyone in your.
This is the best offensive line that quarterback Joe Burrow has had in the NFL. They show that graphic of when the Bengals were in the Super Bowl back, whatever it was, 4 years ago. And it's kind of like jarring to see, he got to the Super Bowl with that offensive line. The biggest additions to the line are the two guard positions. I know, Mia, you spoke about earlier in the show. Tackle, you have Amarius Mims, who's coming into his second year as the Bengals' first-round draft pick last year. Orlando Brown Jr., who's a multi-time Pro Bowler, who has guarded for Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and obviously now Joe Burrow. And center Ted Karras, who's kind of the anchor of that offensive line. He's a team captain. The two new guys there that'll be starting this week, Dylan Fairchild, rookie third-round draft pick from Georgia. He is a dog, and not just because he went to Georgia. He was a wrestler, and the Bengals love that about him. He's athletic. He's a no-nonsense guy, and watching him play more, I'm shocked that he was a third-round draft pick. I think out of all the Bengals draft picks, he was the most NFL ready, and he's going to be the most sturdy and consistent of all of them. I'm a big Dylan Fairchild fan when it comes to football. And then Dalton Risner, what he did, he was the journeyman that Mia spoke about earlier in the show, and the Bengals signed him 11 days before their week one game. He wasn't supposed to start against Cleveland. He didn't start. There was an injury on the offensive line, and then Risner had to come in, and he looked great. For a guy who literally is still learning the offense, I thought Risner looked fantastic. And center Ted Karras, who, again, is the captain of that offensive line and one of the big voices in the Bengals locker room, said that was one of the most professional performances he's seen in the NFL. The guy knows how to play the position. He picked it up without even, having that much time to digest it. Head coach Zach Taylor said before week one that we'll see how much we get Risner involved in the offense in week one. And that's kind of what happened. So I think Dalton Risner is still going to be getting better as he's acclimated more with this offensive line. Now, the bar for the Bengals offensive line for fans in Cincinnati, it's pretty low. So saying that this is the best offensive line the Bengals have had isn't like saying that this is the best offensive line in NFL history, but it is the best offensive line Joe Burrow has had. Will there be issues throughout the season? Of course. But I think if these five guys are healthy, expectations will continue to grow in Cincinnati, Mia.
But here's the thing, Marshall. You paid Orlando Brown a lot of money if you're the Cincinnati Bengals. You spent a pretty primo pick on Amarius Mims. Should you be expecting more? Is there a sense of urgency? And is this group expected to be different than the one that we've seen the last few years?
Well, of course, but how bad they have been the past few years, that if this is an average offensive line, Joe Burrow is so good at playing with bad offensive lines. The fact that he's able to get rid of the ball quickly, it's made him a better quarterback. So if this is able to be an offensive line that's ranked between 14 and 18 in the NFL, we're not talking about anything crazy here. Mm-hmm. This Bengals offense is going to be unstoppable.
Right. And so again, essentially it's like, you know what, if we have a top 4 quarterback in the league, we have arguably the best duo of wide receivers in the league. Average offensive line play is all we need. And you feel that the Cincinnati Bengals are getting that at this juncture. Let's flip it on over to the defensive side with you, Marshall. You mentioned about Al Golden, the energy, the college vibe that he's brought. Specifically, 2 things I want to ask you. Number 1, Liam Cohen, I thought that this was like an underrated quote from, I believe it was Monday's press conference, maybe yesterday. He said Trey Hendrickson really just lines up in one spot. Would you agree with that? Or do you feel like in this defense, maybe he's going to move a little bit more all over the place?
No, I'd agree with that. I mean, at least that's what we saw in week 1. But they'll say Trey Hendrickson's going to line up somewhere and he's going to beat you. And he's kind of proven the last couple of years that he's going to do that. So why change it if it works?
Right. Yeah. I heard Liam say that. And like my first thought was going back to 2023 when many people were just like, oh, well, Chris Jones really just plays one spot. And it's like, I know Chris Jones, like he moves wherever he wants to move, much like Myles Garrett, who the Bengals faced last week.
You won't see Trey coming on the inside like Myles or anything like that. He's going to be an outside edge rusher and he's going to do it better than almost the entire league.
Yes. To that point, though, obviously the hope for the Bengals is that if Trey Hendrickson can affect the quarterback, much like if Joe Burrow and his wide receivers are operating at peak performance, then you can cover up perhaps an average secondary, or in the case of the offense, an average offensive line. Your eyes just bugged out when I said average secondary. You don't think this is an average secondary, do you?
No, I don't. I think it's a below average secondary. And I don't.
Why? Tell us more. The Jags fans are going to love this. Oh, my God.
Because here's the thing. The Bengals secondary, I think, has unlimited potential. They have athletes. They could do things that, I mean, last year, if you look back at the Cam Taylor-Britt interception against the Kansas City Chiefs when he was going back with one arm and made an unbelievable interception, they can do those kind of things. I haven't seen this Bengals secondary work together and be consistent when it comes to tackling. And that's my biggest issue when it comes to that. Are there guys who could win one-on-one matchups? Sure. But the Bengals secondary concerns me. It does. And Cam Taylor-Britt, who is a leader on that secondary, he spoke about how they're going to be ball hawks, that they're going to be chasing the ball, the ball hunters, was the term he used. And, we'll know when to tackle when it's time to tackle. They made 2 interceptions against Cleveland. But again, both of those interceptions, from my point of view, were because of Cleveland's drop balls. And yes, they were in the right spot at the right time. I will give this Bengals secondary credit when I see them do it over and over and over again, not against a 40-year-old Joe Flacco. So, who also threw for 290 passing yards against the Bengals. So, yeah, I don't have the most confidence in the Bengals secondary, but I will be the first to say if I'm proven wrong.
Here's the thing. We've been asking you all these questions, Marshall, because we want to look at how the Jaguars stack up. So now I will ask you directly. Are you buying, like many other NFL fans around the country, because you are a fan of the league as much as you cover the Cincinnati Bengals on a daily basis. You're a fan of the league. Are you buying the Travis Hunter, Brian Thomas Jr. could rival Jamar Chase and T. Higgins as a duo?
No.
Okay. All right.
No, not even.
But are you buying that below average secondary that you just described could be susceptible to the Jaguars offense under Liam Cohen on Sunday?
Oh, okay. Yes. So those are 2 different questions in my view.
And that's fair.
Like
that's fair.
Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are the best 1-2 punch.
Oh, no. And I'm not saying, I'm not saying BT and Travis are one net. No. But that those 2 and the firepower they possess could one day be in the top 3, top 5 conversation. And so, I mean,
listen.
So you think even in their current form, they're going to have problems for this below average secondary?
I think the Jaguars' strengths, this is a trap game, I think, for the Bengals. I think the Jaguars' strengths are where the Bengals' deficiencies are, at least at this point in the year. Listen, we've only seen one game, and I already told you that game has an asterisk around it for me because the Bengals can't play in Cleveland. But they left with a win. So I think if ETN can run like he did last week, that's going to be a problem for the Bengals. If Trevor Lawrence is able to spread it out and get Travis Hunter, I heard he's healthier this week. If he's able to get more involved, Brian Thomas is able to get more involved, that could be an issue for the Bengals. But I'll tell you one thing the Jaguars don't want is a shootout with the Bengals, because they will lose a shootout with the Bengals. There's very few teams who could beat the Bengals in a shootout, and that kind of not to go back too much to last week, but the reason Cleveland, I think, was able to keep it such a tight game is they kept the Bengals off the field. The best defense going up against the Bengals is not to give Joe Burrow the ball. So that's why winning the turnover battle 2-0 is so important to the Cincinnati defense. So I understand, as much as I was criticizing for them, I completely understand it, because you got to get the ball back in Nine's hands. That's what they say. We got to get the ball back to Nine being Joe Burrow. So my concern about the Bengals against the Jaguars is that if the Jaguars keep the Bengals off the field, then it's an issue. If the Jaguars try to play, hey, let's run and gun and see who can score more points, the Bengals win that game 11 out of 10 times, in my opinion. The Jaguars could win this game if they keep the Bengals offense off the field, if they keep converting on third down, take 12 minutes off the clock on a possession. That's the Jaguars' recipe for success. You say we're going to sling it with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins going against you, you're going to lose.
Which the Jaguars had multiple 6-minute drives against the Carolina Panthers on Sunday.
Yeah, that's not good.
Including their opening drive, in which I was just looking around and I'm like, man, to write down the words 6-minute drive in the Everbank Stadium press box, like I couldn't tell you the last time that I was able to write down that the Jaguars converted multiple third downs on the same offensive drive. Marshall, this has been an absolute blast. I appreciate you always. Real quick, a couple of questions from the folks in the club. Our good friend Dell, who is one of our favorites in Jaguars Twitter land, says, were you about to say not even close with regards to Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter being in the top 5, top 10 conversation of duos? That was just for this year. I confused you.
For this year, not even close. Yeah. And also, don't forget, there's a special relationship, not to go too off. T. Higgins, college quarterback, was Trevor Lawrence. Mm-hmm. And T. Higgins was at the Clemson LSU game this year, and it was a whole thing back and forth between Jamar and T. And T was, he was talking about how much he loves Trevor. So it's not a knock to Thomas. It just, this year, no. I need to see Travis Hunter play a game healthy in the NFL before I'm going to say he's a top 5 duo.
Yeah, which, I mean, even if he was banged up still a little bit or coming back from missing significant time during training camp
I think he's going to be great. I just haven't seen it yet.
He still led them in receptions, right. And we're curious to see, you, me, everybody, the wall over there, how much on defense, how many snaps on defense he plays in week 2 of his NFL career. Social on YouTube says, no one but Mia is comparing BTJ and Hunter to Chase and Higgins. Marshall, don't worry. And finally, Tim, our friend who wanted to know about your preferred ice cream in the great state of Ohio, says, what an upset that you did not pick Jenny's.
I mean, he's clearly a Buckeye. That's all I got to say. That's as biased as that. That's like you saying Brian. That's like you saying Travis Hunter, Brian Thomas Jr. He could be with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. They could go down as the top 5 1-2 punch in NFL history, I think. So
I agree. I agree. Point being, like, I was just trying to throw out the.
No, it's good. It was a good question.
And real quick, Marshall, Dell wants to know Skyline Chili recommendations, especially since a lot of our friends in the club will be headed to Cincinnati for this game on Sunday.
I do eat Skyline. You have to eat it if you're from here. You got to build up the stomach intolerance, honestly, a little bit. Like you get a stomach of steel. I texted you this beforehand. The cheat code for me is, yes, there's the spaghetti chili, which is called a 3-way, 4-way, 5-way, depending if you get onions and beans or not. Go for the Conies. That's their version of a chili cheese dog. That stuff, if I have one, I'll have 7. So that's my recommendation.
Dogs. Man,
they're tiny, but I'm also, like 6'3", 210. So got to feel the body.
I'm not. The camera takes about 6 inches off of my height because
exactly.
5'2". It makes me look like I'm taller than I actually am. Marshall, we appreciate you hanging out in Club 904. Let the folks know where they can find you and your content, especially that new podcast.
Yeah, at Marshall Kramsky on X and Instagram and TikTok. Post a lot on TikTok now too. We started a new podcast. It's called Relax. It's just sports. We talk Cincinnati sports, but we also talk all national sports. And it's kind of like like what it says. Yes, we talk all this inside stuff, and you see that I can talk it with Mia, but this is more of a fan view, more of a relaxed, like, let's have a glass of wine at the end of the day. Let's have a beer and just talk about the wedding that happened in the Muni lot in Cleveland when the Bengals and Browns happened between First Lady and Brown Spider. Mazel tov, congratulations, all the things to them. I went on their registry. I will be sending them something from there. It's all Cleveland Brown swag. So yeah, we have some fun because at the end of the day, sports, yes, they're fun. They're serious. They're our outlet, but maybe they shouldn't be so serious.
And you are a lot of fun, my friend, my fellow Monmouth County brother. And Marshall, thanks so much for hopping on. I will see you in Cincinnati this week, brother man.
See you then, Mia.
There he goes, Marshall Kramsky. Again, you can follow him at Marshall Kramsky on all his various social medias. And of course, the weekend sports anchor for WCPO in Cincinnati. One more segment to go here on this Thursday edition of Club 904. We are going to have last call, so get those questions coming in the comments on YouTube, Facebook, and X. We also have a very special edition of The Last Dance that you are not going to want to miss. And something tells me y'all will be in the comments about it too. Thanks for listening. Club 904 continues right after.
Remember, nobody but Nimnick, the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville. Get the latest price breaks on 2023 and 2024 models or the newest 2025 vehicles in the showroom on Phillips Highway or shop online at nimnickbuickgmc.com 24 hours a day. GMC Sierras, Yukons, and the redesigned Acadias, or get the all-new redesigned line with Buicks. It's nobody but Nimnick, and part of the reason why is this is a first-class buying experience here at Nimnick Buick GMC. You're not just a customer. You're a friend. This is about getting a vehicle that best fits you and getting you on the road, and also helping you and your family down the road. Nimnick has a treating you right guarantee, courtesy, respect, fairness. The most Buicks, GMCs, and Jacksonville's only Car Bravo dealer, nobody but Nimnick. Who has put in the most years and stands behind a better experience? Nobody but Nimnick. GMC. We are professional grade.
If you look good, you feel good, and the medical professionals here at Ponte Vedra Vein and Aesthetics are here to make you feel your best. I'm on camera every week, and I have a confession to make. I'm not always confident in my appearance. Can you see my dark circles? Is my makeup highlighting my fine lines instead of covering them up? I question it all. So when I found out about the wide variety of procedures here at Ponte Vedra Vein and Aesthetics, I knew help was just one appointment away. Medical Director Dr. Megan Deacon Casey and her board-certified physicians have been using the latest in cutting-edge technology for the last 10 years, giving men and women their personal confidence boost. From Botox, fillers, Morpheus 8, and so much more. The hardest part was figuring out what I needed. Thankfully, the medical team walked me through what would work best for me through a free consultation. Come look and feel your best with the team here at Ponte Vedra Vein and Aesthetics. Visit them at one of their 2 locations, either over in Ponte Vedra or on the south side.
Baker's Sports. It's a hometown business filled with hometown people trying to make you feel right at home.
Chris Conley, Jacksonville University.
Walker Wright, class of 2018, West Nassau High School.
Michael Young, Fletcher High School.
Baker's Sports started in a grassroots way and now outfits much of the Southeast.
Tony Mazzio, Stanwood High School, class of 2002.
High school sports, travel sports, youth sports of all kinds. They are a one-stop shop carrying Nike, Adidas, Under Armour brands, and more.
Vincent Caldes, Oak Leaf High School.
Samuel Coffrin, Paxton School for Advanced Studies.
Whether it's sports teams on the field or it's your team in the workplace, like our Action Sports Shacks team, and community events like the Dream 18 Golf Tournament, and many others.
Cole Tilley, Hilliard High School.
Reagan Webb, Eagles View Academy.
Look good, feel good, play good with Baker Sports. Custom sports apparel since 1997. Shop with the hometown team at bakersport.com.
Empower a future, inspire a dream. It's a bold but simple mission for the Jacksonville Police Athletic League known as Jax PAL. Help the next generation of kids in Jacksonville shape a brighter future. Their after-school programs, teenage leadership programs. There's community outreach.
It's been just an awesome opportunity to be out here with my colleagues and do something good for the community. It's really been an interesting opportunity to just see everybody work together in a way that we don't normally in the office.
And there's sports. There are also ways you can help the next generation with a donation of any kind. Just visit jaxpal.org to get more information. Empower a future, inspire a dream with Jax PAL.
Most of us know how to throw. But you need to know what to throw. I'm not talking about footballs, baseballs, softballs. We're talking about those items you need to recycle. Republic Services explains it easy. Recycling simplified. 1. Know what to throw. When in doubt, throw it out. 2. Empty, clean, and dry those materials. It takes an extra minute, but it makes a big difference. And 3, don't bag it. This makes the recycling process faster and more efficient. This is a look at the Republic Services North Florida Recycling Center. You can make this process even more efficient. By utilizing those 3 steps, Republic Services can help you become a better recycler in your home. Learn more at recyclingsimplified.com.
Welcome back into Club 904, syndicated live on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 streaming channel. We're going to get to last call here in just a second. I see you guys absolutely filling up the YouTube comments one after the other. So we're going to save those for the end. But first, it is time for the last dance. My final thoughts prior to this Jaguars game. And I'm going to hit my true final thoughts regarding the matchup in last call because a couple of you have asked for score prediction, keys to the game. We're going to get to that here in a second. My final thoughts with regards to the last dance. My version of Scott Van Pelt's one big thing. I have never seen my timeline on Twitter the way that it filled up in my mentions. Number one, after Tank Bigsby was traded on Monday night by adult women who I had no idea were such massive fans of not only the Jacksonville Jaguars, but of Tank Bigsby in particular. We talked about that on Tuesday's show. But then yesterday at practice, I tweeted out the video of the newest Jacksonville Jaguar, Cody Schrader, the running back signed off the Rams practice squad on Monday night. And my goodness, I have not been able to avoid the number 32 discourse. Y'all have something to say about the fact that the Jaguars continue to hand out the number 32 and not retire Maurice Jones-Drew's number. I came home and my fiance Kevin was going off about it too. As a lifelong Jaguar fan, he literally went on a monologue, and that's kind of what I'm trying to emulate right now in The Last Dance. That this is unfair. The fact that the number 63, by the way, number 63, Brad Meester, personal friend, Iowa, the pipeline continues. Mia and Meester built it. You can write that down and take it to the bank. Meester now the head coach of Mount Vernon High School, Tristan Wirf's alma mater. But the fact that the number 63 has not been handed out since Brad Meester retired. Even Paul Posluszny's number 51 was not handed out for 5 seasons until Ventrell Miller got to town. And yet number 32, it feels like every other day keeps getting handed out. And even Cameron, the safety from Colorado, had 32 in training camp. In training camp, you're like, okay, well, there's 90 guys on the roster. It's all right. It happens. And then when he signed to the practice squad, you think, okay, well, they'll find him a different number. And no, now he's 32. And now he's a different number, but Cody Schrader is 32. I just wanted to take this opportunity to say, I see you Jaguar fans in my mentions, the disrespect of continuing to hand out the number 32. I'm right there with you. As someone who grew up, I know it's been said about 12 times on today's episode, someone who grew up in New Jersey, my first true understanding of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Byron Leftwich and Maurice Jones-Drew. Those were the 2 names growing up in the mid-2000s that for me, when I thought Jacksonville Jaguars, that's who I thought of. And that's because Maurice Jones-Drew came of age during the fantasy football era. That's when he rose to prominence. He obviously won a rushing title in 2011 with Blaine Gabbert as his quarterback, for crying out loud. You could talk about that amongst your friends if they need a brief history lesson. And so point is, I get it. I know why you're frustrated, because this is not about Cody Schrader wearing the number 32. This is about Maurice Jones-Drew should be in the pride already, and he is not. And perhaps one day he will be. I don't know what we're waiting for. If I get more information, I will provide it then. But I just wanted to take this opportunity in The Last Dance to say, I see you. I hear you. I heard a 30-minute monologue when I got home last night about it too. So don't worry. This podcast, Action Sports Jax. We are friends of Mojo. We are fans of Mojo. One day we will see 32, not on Cody Schrader's jersey, but on the walls of Everbank Stadium. Let's get to last call. Your final questions with regards to this matchup between the Jaguars and the Bengals on Sunday. Really great shouts from Social. Social, thanks so much for coming back into the Twitter sphere, coming back into the Mo Bryan land. Some really great facts and fun notes made in the comments today. Zach Taylor, 0-6 all-time in week 2 of the NFL season. Let's keep that going. That's an amazing shout. Social's key to the game and kept yelling it from the mountaintops in the comments even prior to Marshall Kramsky saying it. ball control and physicality. The last team that blinks will win the game. You need to be patient. And that's similar to what Marshall echoed, this idea of you can't get into a shootout with the Cincinnati Bengals because you will lose. But if you can be patient and you can keep the ball away from 9, away from Joe Burrow, you give yourself a chance to win the football game. And as we all know, for those of us who live in Jacksonville, Florida, Liam Cohen is intent on being the more physical outfit, on running the football, maintaining the football, and putting together those 6, 7, 8-minute drives like we saw on Sunday against the Carolina Panthers. Let's hit a couple more before we get on out of here. Now I've really gotten you guys. I've incited the riot, so sorry about that. Keys to the game. Thank you, Duval T87, for hanging out with us in Club 904. I'm right there with social, ball control, and physicality. That's a given. I went through it off the top. I still think that while Marshall believes this is the best offensive line Joe Burrow's ever had in front of him, it is average. And I think in light of what we saw last week, which I believe was just the tip of the iceberg of what Anthony Campanelli and this defensive front are going to be able to do in terms of games, stunts, I'm excited to see what next step they take here today. On Sunday, as Stuart Weber makes his way into the studio. Fleet and Footy coming up next on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 channel. I'm excited to see what the evolution of the Anthony Campanelli defense is. Because I said it with Austin Lane on Tuesday, and the point holds true here today. The reality is that the guy learned under Brian Flores. And I think that the exotic simulated pressures you're going to see will only grow as the weeks go on. Score prediction, I'm with Marshall. I think this is a trap game. I don't think it's being a homer. I got the Jaguars winning this one, 28-24. That's it for Thursday edition of Club 904. We'll see you crazy cats on Sunday for a live postgame. I'll be in Cincinnati. Brent will be hopefully back here, boots on the ground in Jacksonville, FLA. We appreciate you hanging out with us, and we will talk to you on Sunday.
Get a new car for anyone in your family? Just remember, nobody but Nimnick, the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville. Get the latest price breaks on 2023 and 2024 models or the newest 2025 vehicles in the showroom on Phillips Highway, or shop online at nimnickbuickgmc.com 24 hours a day. GMC Sierras, Yukons, and the redesigned Acadias, or get the all-new redesigned line with Buicks. It's nobody but Nimnick, and part of the reason why is this is a first-class buying experience here at Nimnick Buick GMC. You're not just a customer, you're a friend. This is about getting a vehicle that best fits you and getting you on the road, and also helping you and your family down the road. Nimnick has a treating you right guarantee, courtesy, respect, fairness, and most Buicks, GMCs, and Jacksonville's only Car Bravo dealer.